Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back to Take Time for Torah. This week is Parshat Tzav and Shabbat HaGadol. It's the Shabbat immediately before Passover. How exciting this is. We'll be gathering next Shabbat, next weekend, with family and friends for Passover Seder. I would like to say that if anyone is in the local area of Atlantic County and needs a place, please call me because I'll be glad to help you find a space for a Passover Seder, whether it will be at my house or someone else's. The idea of being together as a community is so important. But this week's Parsha, Parshat Tzav, is a continuation of the clarification of the sacrifices and what the sacrifices mean to the Israelites. But the question we can ask on this is, these sacrifices, what meaning do they have for us today? There's the burnt offering, and there was the meal offering, and the sin offering, and the guilt offering, and the peace offering, the peace offering, which meant that people will found peace with each other. And I was thinking, what does this mean? These sacrifices, why we're not offering them? I'm certainly not going and slaughtering any animal to throw blood around and to use it. But so what value does this have to us today? And I think it has several values for us. First of all, the rabbis in great tradition always found new meaning. And that's a piece that we have to worry about. We have to look at the Torah and find new meaning for us in our generation and in our time. So first of all, the peace offering, to emphasize the offering of peace, the idea of peace and wholeness. That's why the Shevach Shlamim is mentioned last. The peace offering is mentioned last of all the sacrifices to tell us how important it is, and that peace begins with how we treat people and how we understand people. Rabbi Jacob ben Yitzchak Ashkenazi, who is a Yiddish commentator, teaches us the following. He says that the Torah commands the olah, the burnt offering, and the chatat, or the sin offering, to be sacrificed on the same altar. Why, he asks? Well, why are these two sacrifices to be made in the same place? He answers his own question by declaring that the Torah teaches us not to embarrass people. You see, the burnt offering is brought by one who is guilty of sinful thoughts. Perhaps that person coveted something belonging to someone else, or the thoughts about cheating or stealing from another, or just the thoughts that are just inappropriate. A sin offering is a sacrifice brought by someone who has actually committed a wrongdoing. And the Torah says, Jacob ben Yitzchak Ashkenazi commands that both sacrifices should be made in the same place, so that no one will be differentiated. There will be no difference between the person who has sinned in thought or the person who has sinned in deed. In this way, the embarrassment is avoided. No one can point an accusing finger and say, "There's the thief," by calling attention to the detail of how the two sacrifices were offered. Jacob ben Yitzchak Ashkenazi reminds us of a very important ethical lesson. It's forbidden to humiliate or to shame another person. How important is this lesson to all of us? How important is it for us not to shame or humiliate someone, either someone who has created a wrongdoing, who has done a wrong deed, or even someone who has thought about it? You see, in the humiliation, we hurt that person. Instead, we should be finding ways to raise them up, find ways to protect them, and find ways to allow them to do their own tshuva, their own repentance. And most of all, it's for us, because once we humiliate someone, it's easier to humiliate the next, or to embarrass the next, and we have to keep ourselves far from that action. You see, once we start that, it happens all over the place, and it begins to break down the wholeness of our community. It begins to break down the peace of our community. And we hope, as we enter into this period of Passover, that as we escaped from Egypt, that we find peace between ourselves, our families, and our community in a way that makes us whole. Shabbat Shalom, and I wish all of you a wonderful and a joyous Passover, and I'll be back after Passover.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat